California Multifamily New Homes Program and California Advanced Homes. We're so excited to have a large group of presenters who will be talking about their programs and how they can serve you who are participating in PG&E's residential new construction program. So I will be introducing them shortly, but just to begin, we will review these programs, California Multifamily New Homes and California Advanced Homes Program. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. Next slide. There we go. All right. So we will be taking questions at various points in the presentation after each presenter talks. So you'll see on the right side there's a bar called questions where you can type in your questions there. So that's how we'll be addressing your thoughts today. So feel free to enter questions throughout the presentation, and then we'll pause at those specific moments to address them. Next slide. Great. So California Advanced Homes and California Multifamily New Homes are sponsored by Pacific Gas and Electric Company. These programs are use ratepayer funding and pay incentives based on energy performance. Next slide. Great. So a quick overview of the program. So California Advanced Homes Program we call CAHP. It is the single-family residential new construction program for PG&E, and California Multifamily New Homes, which we call CMFNH, to be quick, is the multifamily version of CAHP for residential new construction multifamily projects. So these projects have a primary goal in terms of kind of statewide CPUC goals. The first of which we've pretty much met. So that's by 2015, that 90% of new homes would be at least 20% better than 2008 code. And as most of you know, we started a new code cycle in July 2014, which is approximately 20% harder than the 2008 code. And the next goal is that by 2020, 100% of new homes would reach zero net energy. So we talk a lot about California's zero net energy goals, and I think that topic will come up today, so we'll be able to elaborate on that. And just a reminder that funding is subject to revision and is also available on a first-come, first-served basis. So we encourage participants to submit applications as early in the year as possible. Next slide. Great. So this is our agenda for today. We have 4 different programs who will be talking about how their offerings benefit multifamily and single-family new construction projects. So first off will be Sam Rashkin with the DOE Zero Energy Ready Homes program. Then we have Amy Dryden with we have Kyra with Energy Code ACE, and then Amy Dryden with Greenpoint Rated. And then lastly, Brett will be bringing it in with New Solar Homes Partnership. So I think we're ready to move into our first panelist. So next slide. We might be having a little bit of a delay. Well, I'll introduce Sam while it's transitioning to the next slide. So Sam is the Chief Architect for the Department of Energy Zero Energy Ready Homes program. So Sam, while the slides are switching over, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get the slides going and you can continue with your presentation.
Oh, sure. Thank you, Shannon. It's great to be here. I'm actually involved with both the Building America program and the Zero Energy Ready Homes program here at the Department of Energy. And our goal actually is to bring the market to Zero Energy Ready Homes by 2025. And so I'm going to talk to you about why actually we believe Zero Energy Ready homes will be at scale or readily available across the country in 3 years. In other words, 0 and 3. So if I'm in control, I'll see if I can click the slides. Okay, good. Okay, so here we are, 0 and 3, and what I want to do today is mostly explain our strategy for how we will deliver 0 and why we believe it moves to the marketplace. And the reason why we do feel 0 and 3 is going to happen so confidently is that we believe it addresses 2 key compelling opportunities. One is to reduce risk, and one is to provide differentiation for builders. And what drives this is the reality that if you look at the rigor of codes on the vertical axis and look at over time how they've progressed through current time, the codes took a substantial jump on a national basis, beginning with the 2009 IECC and the 2012 IECC, about a 30% jump from a baseline benchmark to the 2006 IECC. So effectively what's happened at this juncture, we kind of hit a building science imperative. To go further and increase energy efficiency, we have to address a number of building science challenges. So the first point to really focus on is what's driving this risk. And the driver really for us is that as we look at the marketplace, there are 2 key forces driving more efficient homes. One is energy codes, which we just mentioned, and a strong market response to an interest in efficiency with low HERS score buildings. It could be just a HERS index or part of a voluntary program like Energy Star for homes. And as a result of those efforts, we're winding up that even code homes, the minimum code home, has an advanced thermal enclosure. And that means first that we have an advanced insulation system. That's more insulation installed without gaps, voids, compression to a higher quality, and complete with a complete thermal barrier and minimum thermal bridging. On top of that, we have advanced windows that are much more effective at blocking the sun in the summer and keeping heat in the winter. And lastly, these homes are very, very airtight. So even a minimum code home to the latest California code of 2012 IECC looks like this. This is your new reality if you build homes. And what's significant about this is that the first risk is that we have a comfort challenge. With this advanced enclosure, we have incredibly small heating and cooling loads, much, much smaller than we've ever had. And with much less airflow going through buildings, there's a challenge to ensure proper mixing. And with also less demand for heating and cooling, there are much, much longer swing seasons. So the cooling season starts later in the year, as does the heating season. And with those longer time frames between conditioning, there's more risk of maintaining humidity control, particularly with a later starting summer, sensible cooling condition. We have times where we can have humidity factors, maybe less of an issue in California, but definitely a big issue in many markets around the country. The second, so how do we address this challenge, this risk challenge, is to actually optimize a low load comfort system. And the significant challenge is that the industry today is not attuned to providing low load comfort systems that are optimized. It involves either right sizing and or variable speed systems, making sure they're properly installed, which is a big challenge in today's marketplace where HVAC systems have been bid down to the lowest cost with less skilled labor, and also getting them complete, heating, cooling, and relative humidity, and then tested for performance. So this is a big challenge, number one, to address risk. Number two, with the advanced enclosure, we find that we have more wetting risk. We have colder surfaces on the outside sheathing surface where it faces a cavity in cold conditions, and on inside the cavity on the interior wall side in the summer conditions, and there's less drying potential as a result. And so this is because with less heat flow going through the wall, with much more insulation and much more air tightness, if it gets wet, it has colder surfaces to condense, and if there's less thermal flow going through, it's very, very difficult to dry. So as a result, the next strategy to manage this risk is to have comprehensive water protection systems. Roofs, walls, openings, site foundation materials, and managing our vapor control layer, understanding where it is and how it can function to let the house dry to the proper direction. So all this has to be built into new construction, knowing it can't dry if it gets wet. And risk number 3 has to do with the really substantially tighter construction, leading to a greater indoor air quality risk. There's less dilution with less infiltration, and also with less heating cooling system operation, there's less filtration, with most homes relying on the filter and the heating cooling system to capture particulates and dust. Now in the kitchen there's also less filtration because our exhaust systems in kitchens aren't really effective at removing byproducts of cooking. So to address this risk, what we've looked at with the Indoor Air Quality Program, with the Zero Energy Ready Home Program, is ensuring a comprehensive indoor air quality system by tapping into the EPA Indoor Air Package specifications. So now we have comprehensive contaminant control, eliminating sources to a high degree. We have also a fresh air system that ventilates the house effectively. And we have, lastly, high capture filtration that is effective at removing particulates in the airflow. Then we have differentiation opportunities to capture. If our competition's older homes and we take the enclosure to the next level, we have the ability actually to build the home of the future that meets or exceeds future code expectations. So in most markets around the country, we specify the next generation code coming down. It could be in many markets 2012 or 2015 IECC. In California, we'd be looking to specify requirements close to the next 2013 Title 24. Also, with the interest in zero energy homes, we had the resulting optimized enclosure leading to incredibly low HVAC loads, and therefore the energy use inside the home is now half or more than half of the total energy use. So having a system for efficient components helps us further reduce our energy load so that we can make it ready for solar with simple no-cost, low-cost details and practices. So this leads to us to a zero energy ready home spec that really addresses the risks and the differentiation opportunities associated with the advanced enclosure. First, for risk management, we have the optimized comfort system specifications, a comprehensive water protection system, and comprehensive indoor air quality requirements. And then under differentiation, we have a home built to the next generation code so that meets or exceeds future code requirements. We have health protection with a comprehensive indoor air quality system. We have advanced technology with energy efficient components throughout the house. And we have zero energy ready performance with no cost, low cost details that make the house ready for a future solar electric system. We call this a house to the power of zero, and we have a label that's easy for consumers to recognize to get all these advantages. Now, why are we bullish on this is because, one, this enables us to have a clear definition for what zero energy ready home means. It means it's a high performance home so efficient all of most annual consumption can be offset by renewable energy. So it's a very clear spec, and we're not so much requiring the renewable be ready and installed during construction, but having it ready for it at any time then or in the future. We also have, what's very importantly, a very powerful message that builders can use. If this is a typical builder in the marketplace, selling a home from the high 100s or 200s, or in California, the high 500s, in comparison, a zero energy ready home builder has a message that can be very effective. It's really their compelling advantage about taking a house to the next new level that's emotional. It's not just 20 or 30% energy savings. My power bill's $5. What's yours? And what's really, really impressive about the message is it's not from the builder. It's from their customer, Heather Robbins, in this case for Garbett Homes, the builder in Salt Lake City. Now, and also thinking about messaging, one of the key focuses that we've had in developing solutions for builders so that Zero can move to the marketplace and connect with home buyers is focusing on clarity. Virtually every program in the marketplace, Green, Energy Star for Homes, whatever it may be, is out there claiming they're more healthy, comfortable, durable, safe, and more quality built. And so every program claims to have these very special attributes. So unless we can provide clarity about what that means in the special case of a Zero Energy Ready home, why should the builder or the consumer invest in the extra costs to get the home to that performance level? And what we've developed to be clear and to provide this clarity is a set of bars that lead to a very powerful consumer message. And I'll give you an example. The green bars represent the Zero Energy Ready home, the blue bar, the Energy Star qualified home, and the gray bar, an existing home paired to a 1993 home. And essentially what we've done is now, by showing the comparison, enable the builder to have a powerful message. Let's just take the top bar by example. If I'm with a home buyer and I know they have concerns about their children's health, they may use inhalers, they may tell me that they have respiratory challenges with their children, I take out a big marker and circle the healthful environment, and now I have a message for that buyer that's really personal and relevant. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, every one of our Zero Energy Ready homes have all the recommendations by the leading authority on health for you and your family in our nation, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. In comparison, you get half the protection for you and your children with an Energy Star qualified home and a very small amount with an existing home. Wouldn't you agree, protecting you and your family's ability to breathe is so important in your next new home? What we've done is made it clear that you either get all the protection from the leading authority, half or hardly any, with these bars. No scale, no metrics, no number, just a simple explanation. And we're only enabled to do this because we've specified a complete system. It's not like a rating system in a green program where you get parts. This is either you get the whole system or you don't earn the Zero Energy Ready home label. And by doing that, we get bankable value propositions that we can leverage in our message. And if we need to, we can pull up the Indoor Air Plus label to further show the voice of authority behind this performance. Every one of these bars and attributes have the same basic explanation. You want all the energy efficient performance by the best experts in our nation and how to build new homes from the nation's leading authority, Department of Energy Building America program. Do you want half those recommendations in your house or hardly any? Do you want all the quality improvements that come with the leading authority on high performance homes, the Department of Energy and their experts? Do you want a third less or hardly any? It's always the same clear message, no metrics, no numbers, and we convey our value with clarity. It's the only way we can leverage our ability to attract the investment we need in a superior home. Now, the other thing I want to point out is that once you have a clear message, you have to use it consistently. So if you look at our brochure, it's the same basic messages wrapped around a little bit more packaging, if you will. We break into 3 easy packages: lives better, works better, lasts better, and they're the same 6 attributes grouped appropriately under each of those improvements in your home living experience. So we can circle the healthful environment here just like we did on the fact sheet. Either one that the salesperson prefers, it works. And I'll also call your attention to the fact that there are other attributes to being a Zero Energy Ready home. The builders in an exclusive club of builders may be the top 1% in the nation able to build to this level of excellence. And this is a home built to the future. Unlike even maybe an Energy Star home that will be illegal to build in 3 or 4 years if it's built to the 2009 IACC, this home is built to the next code, not the current code. And so now it's a visionary home, an exclusive builder. We have to have real clarity about what we offer, a real difference from what we're competing with, and essentially that's how we message this program. And one thing I want to point out is that we also have developed a sales tool that converts all the measures of what makes these homes special into terms based on experiences, and the sales tool develops fact sheets about why the homes are more healthful. Here are 50 innovations that make our homes more healthy. Here are 50 innovations that make our homes more comfortable. Each term is based on a power word versus a technical jargon: why more ultra efficient, why we have advanced technology throughout our house, why we're quality built, and why we're more durable. But essentially, again, we have to be completely clear and have a contrast. Here's what we have, now go compared to what you get in a non-Zero Energy Ready home. Now, wrapping up here, last point I want to make is that if you look around the marketplace, some of the forecasts going on, I'm not the only one who's bullish on why 0 and 3 and why the market's moving. Navigant Research, an organization apart from DOE, has a number of clients that do research for, and in their Zero Energy Buildings Annual Review by 2035, they've had a series of analyses. In January 2012, they predicted a $1.3 trillion revenue stream for Zero Energy Ready buildings. Then they upped it in September 2014, a year and a half later, to 1.4 trillion. Then in December 2014, just a few months later, it's up to 4.6 trillion. So essentially, the marketplace is really forecasted to really move to zero energy, not just by us, but by many observers. So what I'm hoping is that you see with a program like Zero Energy Ready Home, there's a national platform for establishing a clear definition. There's a specification that's based on addressing key risks and differentiation opportunities that ensure bankable value propositions. There's clear messaging to convey those value propositions at the point of sale. And there are even sales tools and techniques that we provide to get the builder to bring that message to the consumer. And so we're real excited to work in California and many other states to leverage this opportunity, particularly in a state that has a critical path to zero energy by 2020 for new home construction. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Sam. And I already see a question that came in while you were talking. So this question is specifically about plug loads. How does DOE Zero Energy Ready Homes address the increasing fraction of plug loads as part of the whole building energy use?
That's a great question, and the answer is that we focus mostly on the appliances, lighting, fans, equipment that's provided by the builder. And it's very hard to tell the consumer what to plug into their outlets, particularly with a specification for a national program. So all the equipment, lighting, fans inside the home are specified to be ENERGY STAR qualified or better. And in some cases, that's more hardwired loads than plug loads. But that's where we have influence, telling people what to do inside their homes in terms of what kind of televisions or set-top boxes or which refrigerator they choose can be difficult. We can provide information and guidance, but ultimately I think the audience that's attracted to a zero energy ready home is probably a good candidate for someone who'd be interested in high efficient energy use, not only in what's provided by the builder, but by what they choose themselves.
Thanks, Sam. I don't see another question coming in right now, but I have a question. Maybe you can just elaborate on, I see your contact information here. What should folks do kind of as a first step if they're involved in home building and they want to kind of explore the program? Who should they be working with?
Well, this website is a great last slide to have up because there's so much great information in there. If you're a builder and want to know how to get your home certified and leverage this national label, which will be promoted with a national campaign as well as we move forward into the summer, just go to the website and there's a how to join button to click for builders to join. The same for architects, home energy raters as well. There's also a list of all the partners in the program for consumers who want to find home builders to work with who label to this home, and also to learn about Zero Energy Ready Home. I'll also point out that the website has a tremendous array of resources to market and learn about Zero Energy Ready Home construction. So I would really encourage people to look at that. That includes, in addition to the specifications, about 20 different webinars that are deeper dives into the technical solutions that deliver Zero Energy Ready Home performance, amazing array of sales and marketing tools and help you message, sell, and present your Zero Energy Ready Home in the best light, and lots of other basic guidance for a whole array of users. But this is the best place to start, to join, to learn, to get guidance. So that's my recommendation there.
Perfect. And you can maybe send me some of those links, and I can forward them on with all the attendees. I'm happy to do that. So I think we'll move forward to our next slide. We will be taking more questions at the end of the presentation. We saved about 15 minutes for questions. So if you have any thoughts that come up between now and then, feel free to enter them in the questions bar, and we can address them to Sam later. So I think we're ready to move on to our next slide. Great. And Amy Dryden with Build It Green has joined us, and she is the Senior Project Manager for Build It Green's technical services, which include Greenpoint Rated. So I'll let her elaborate a little bit more about what she does and all about Greenpoint Rated. Oh, and I think I have her muted. Let me change that. Sorry, Amy. Okay, you should be ready to talk.
Okay, great. Thank you, Shannon. Happy to be here with you all this morning. I'll talk to you a little bit about Build It Green. As Shannon said, I am Senior Manager of Technical Services for Build It Green, and dealing a lot with our energy efficiency programs that we implement and do program design for, as well as our green building program. Oops, sorry. So just very briefly to give you the context, we are a nonprofit operating in California, and we're really looking to change and drive the residential market and achieve healthy and resource-efficient homes through kind of this three-prong approach. One, establishing programs, and in particular green building programs, but also energy efficiency programs to improve those homes, to train the professionals to be able to build those homes, retrofit them, rehab them, and work with local governments to create REACH codes, green building policies, again, to strive to meet their local goals or state goals. So what I'm going to talk mostly about today is our green building certification program and how it's relating to net zero energy and the goals for the state of California. So for most of you, if you aren't aware, Greenpoint Rated is our green building certification program. It is a whole building rating system for new and existing buildings. It addresses both single-family and multifamily, and it's always third-party verified through documentation as well as on-site verifications by a rater. And we looked at it to be comprehensive, to look at achieving performance in the 5 categories of energy, water and resource conservation, indoor air quality, and community benefits with a 50-point minimum. One of the slides I didn't include in this presentation, but I think is important to talk about and definitely complements some of the information that Sam was just sharing, is that we also have a climate calculator tied to our program where folks can actually see the quantified benefits of what they're doing in terms of energy efficiency and water conservation and how it relates to a code-built home as well as an average home in California. We have also done a lot of work to quantify the benefits of green building and tie them to greenhouse gas emissions. And so with that, you can see kind of your impact on, for new construction, avoiding greenhouse gas emissions, and for existing, reducing your greenhouse gas emission contributions based on the green building measures that were chosen for that particular project. And we've been able to quantify things such as resources and how the home was built, as well as things you would imagine we could quantify like energy savings and water savings. At this point, and I'm sorry I didn't update the slide, there are over 31,000 projects rated in California, so we have a good market share. One of the things we look at with this program, and as Shannon mentioned earlier, we just had the recent change with our 2013 code update. We have these core foundations for the program, that it's a credible program. It has that third-party verification. Standards are developed with stakeholders, both policy as well as builders. It has some flexibility built into it to address the different types of buildings we have available, multifamilies, single-family, two-story, one-story, et cetera. It is compatible with other programs such as Energy Star for homes or EPA IA Indoor Air Plus program, so make sure we align with that as well to facilitate that dual participation. And it is an above code program, so everything that you're getting credit for is above the California Building Code, which is not as always so simple, but we try to make the program simple to understand so builders can receive that value and be able to talk about the achievement of those of their homes that are built above our building code, which is relatively stringent and does address a number of these elements that we look at in a green building home. So I just want to share quickly with you some of the requirements and prerequisites and give you a sense of what that means it's going above. So the energy portion, is you get 25 points are required for that and has to be above our 2013 code. And I'm going to talk more specifically about that in the next slide. For water conservation, it's 6 points. And again, if you think about what our minimum water fixtures are, so it's got to be above a 2.0 shower head. And we've also incorporated some performance metrics in there for our water efficient fixtures to drive to better performance for those. For example, for our toilets, we include a MAP score so we can ensure that it's not only a high efficiency toilet, but it's performing well. Indoor air quality, a lot of this stuff looking at insulation and interior finishes, that's exceeding our CARB requirements, California Air Resources Board, formaldehyde emissions for our composite wood products. Resource conservation, dealing with our waste diversion and materials actually going into the building. Community, so we're starting to look at, we need 2 points there, gathering area, services, home size. And then you can get 5 points in any other category. So it gives that flexibility where a project has to comply with all of those, but then depending on the type of project it is, there may be some other things that are more appropriate for that specific project. We do have a handful of prerequisites. There's 5 for single family, 6 for multifamily new construction. And one of those prerequisites is CalGreen. So CalGreen is verified as part of compliance with Greenpoint Rated. I wanted to talk specifically just a little bit about the energy performance because we are doing this presentation in conjunction with TRC, with the California Advanced Home Program and the Multifamily New Home Program. You know, we've always looked to align and complement other programs as we can. And so we have this dual compliance pathway where you can either show that the building is 10% compliance margin over Title 24, I should say 2013, Title 24 Part 6. Or if you're participating in the California Advanced Home Program and you have a CAHP score of 84, then that also complies and gets you your minimum points for participation in the program. This is where we want to make sure that we can work with folks to have a streamlined process where appropriate and be mutually supportive of other programs out there. One of the things that's going with the CAHP score and kind of thinking about whole building energy use, it helps us drive towards our net zero energy goal by 2020. And as Sam mentioned, you know, that's where California is going. So we have the CPUC strategic plan where we're looking at, you know, a net zero energy code by 2020. We're looking at AB 32 with meeting our 1990 goals for our greenhouse gas emissions by 2020, and by 2050 an 80% reduction on those. So from the statewide effort, there's a lot of strategic plans. Our energy code, green building code, can keep ramping up to try to drive us towards these goals of net zero energy. We have local governments who are incorporating REACH codes and climate action plans, and then we have certification efforts. So, and that would be Greenpoint Rated as an example. I'm going to talk to you how we approached our support of this effort to continue to provide an opportunity for builders to have a standard to strive towards and implement and kind of showcase what they're able to do. Okay. So I had mentioned that we have this 2050 goal where we're getting 60% below our 1990 level. And I put this graphic up here just because it helps really frame how we thought we could approach developing a standard for Greenpoint Rated, and also, engaging with policymakers, local governments, builders, consultants on some thinking. So this is part of a report for California's energy future, the View to 2050. And you can see the yellow or orangish line there is our 1990 levels of greenhouse gas emissions, so a little over 400. It's like 420, I think. And the first column there you see is our business as usual. So that's if we just kind of continue what we're doing today, we'll essentially double our greenhouse gas emissions. The dark blue there is the carbon fuels, the light blue is the electricity. And that red dotted line is our 2050 target. If we continue on with solely just energy efficiency, we just get to our 1990 levels, which is great. If we continue on and add electrification in the next column to it, we drop it down a little bit more. So not only are we doing efficiency electric, and we're also doing electrification. And then the last two, we're really looking at decarbonizing our fuel. And that almost gets us there. And we're able to do a lot of this with the technology we have today. And that's kind of to Sam's point, too, that we have the ability to, move forward towards this net zero energy goal with a lot of the resources, the knowledge, the technology, the systems we have available today. That last little bit to get to, that gets us to 80% below. To get to 60% below, we're going to be really looking at new technologies. But we looked at this and thought, okay, well, how can we start contributing to getting us there? So to that end, hold on, in our last cycle update, there we go, we came up with two thresholds for net zero energy or near zero energy for Greenpoint Rated. One, we wanted an 80% offset. This was because we don't want to just have 100% offset. We wanted to be able to have a stepping stone, a pathway to encourage participation and encourage builders to continue to go above code. Even though people are looking at our 2013 code as quite stringent, there's a lot of opportunity there. Then we have the zero net energy, which is 100% offset. We have defined that as all electric. I'm not going to go into the definitions of net zero energy, but there are a lot of them out there. This is above the requirement for, or the definition that the California Energy Commission has for net zero energy, which is great because they can set that as a code standard for 2020. We can continue to, drive the industry to bring it along and push beyond that. So it is complementary to have those kind of two different definitions in that regard. So the question came up, we had this standard, and it was like, okay, well, you have the standard, but how are we going to implement it? What are we going to do? And it came clear to us that we needed a tool. So we are in the beta version of this tool. I'd be happy to talk with folks offline about it. But we said if we're talking about net zero energy and 100% offset, then we actually need to estimate the total use of energy in that home. So we have a tool that addresses the heating and cooling. That really comes out of our compliance software. We leverage that. But what we've done in this tool is estimate the domestic hot water use. We're accounting for the hot water distribution, indoor water use, so that includes our cold water, cooking fuel, the plug loads, appliances, lighting, and laundry. And for the laundry, we also differentiate between in-unit and central in the case of like a multifamily building. So those different use patterns there. So it's with this tool that we're working with raters to estimate that annual energy use of a home and see how it aligns to demonstrate their compliance with a near zero energy home with like an 80% offset, or if it's all electric and they're doing 100% offset. So this allows us to evaluate the home and be able to designate a home as net zero energy, so we have this extra stamp on there for that. I think it's a pretty exciting time for us to have this tool, and I'd love to talk with folks about it afterwards. And I think that is the end of my presentation. But that's just where we see a voluntary. In most cases, Greenpoint Rated is voluntary. There are local jurisdictions who are adopting it as a REACH code, and so it is mandatory for some new construction, but where we are introducing standards to help drive toward better homes and achieve our state goals. Thank you.
Fabulous, Amy. That was really well put, and a nice link with Sam's presentation as well. So if you have any questions, you can type them in now, and we'll also take questions for Amy at the end of the presentation. I guess, Amy, I'm curious, have you done a lot of coordination with CAHP so far? Have you seen a lot of projects coming in that met the 84 that also applied for Greenpoint Rated?
We haven't seen that yet. I think we'll be seeing more in the future because we have seen a lot of alignment with California Advanced Home in previous program cycles for compliance, and I think at this point, after now we're we're more than 6 months, right? 9 months after the Energy Code has come into play, we're seeing more and more projects come through under the new Energy Code. So I would anticipate seeing, more projects that are leveraging that pathway as well.
Sure, and maybe you can talk a little bit about what it's sort of a shortcut. So say a project already has their plan review with CAHP. How should they approach Greenpoint Rated if they got an 84?
Right. So it allows, there's a process of going through, doing your modeling. And for those of you familiar with CAHP and kind of a percent above code, it's kind of an apples and oranges metric. There's two different pathways and there are two different metrics to look at the performance of a home. So if a project is going through CAHP and you've achieved an 84, then your rater can work with you and make sure that gets input into your application for Greenpoint Rated, and you'll get your appropriate points. We've been working closely with TRC to kind of finalize the point structure for exceeding an 84, because you will get additional credit for that. But what it means is your project is now getting plan checked and reviewed there. So a lot of the measures maybe that your rater is looking at through the plan check, and your HERS rater is verifying those, and that verification can be rolled into documentation to support compliance with Greenpoint Rated.
Great, that's well put. And I think we're ready to move on to our next panelist. I want to remind folks we will be recording this presentation, and we have a YouTube channel now, so I'll send you the link to that after we upload it, so you'll get an email from me in a couple days. And I'll also include links to our program applications and resources that our panelists are mentioning during the presentation. So I think we're ready to move on to the next slide. And Kyra will be presenting. So Kyra is she works with the California statewide Codes and Standards team, and she'll be sharing her screen with us, doing a little demo of the program that she works with. So Energy Code ACE is the program that we'll be talking about today, and it's a compliance improvement program. So Kyra, I'll let you elaborate on that. And I think you might be muted still. Let me fix that. Okay, you should be good to go.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Kyra Weinkle, and I work with, as Shannon said, the California Statewide Codes and Standards team, which is one of the funded utility programs that she talked about at the beginning of the presentation. And this program has a subprogram called the Compliance Improvement Program, which is focused specifically on Title 24, Part 6. So I think this will be a good place to piggyback off of where Amy was talking about the codes and standards area for reaching these strategic energy goals. So just to give you a little bit of a background on the Compliance Improvement Program, about 4 years ago, we began doing an extensive needs assessment to try and determine areas where we could help the building departments, contractors, all of the market actors, architects, energy engineers, to comply with this code a little bit easier, since it is ratcheting up and getting more strict with each code cycle. So just to kind of preface this website was the outcome of all of the materials and resources developed to help you comply with Title 24 Part 6. So this is, everything on this website is free, and it is to help you guys, and so we always encourage any kind of feedback that you might have or any questions. So, so quickly I'll just tell you there's a place on here where you can register if you want to receive updates whenever there are updates that occur to the tools or to the other resources, or if you have any questions or feedback as well. So quickly, and most importantly, there is a performance of a song called Comply With Me, performed by a marching band. Let's see. You know, I think I might not have actually received the mouse control. Did I? Let's see. Okay. We'll start with the tools section. So we developed a number of tools to guide you through various parts of the code. Let's see. I don't know if you guys are experiencing a little bit of a delay. Here we go. The first tool that we will talk about is the Forms ACE, because we discovered that on all ends of the compliance process, the forms, which are the primary tool to comply with the code, were a little onerous and confusing, and determining which forms applied to a project was a real problem. So we developed a tool that's sort of similar to a TurboTax type of format, where you'll go through a short series of questions about your project, and the PDFs apply to your scope of work, as well as a little bit of a summary of the process that you'll go through to obtain your permit and complete the project with the building department. So if you register here, you can save your projects, or you can go straight through to the tool. And I won't go too far into it, but there is a residential and non-residential version. Currently it covers additions and alterations only, although we do have a new construction version coming pretty soon. And it does auto code, and there's just this questions, one other page of questions, and then it will give you the tool output. So with our time today, I don't want to go all the way through it, but I did want to just give you an idea of what it looks like. And throughout the tool as well, wherever there are terms that could be confusing, we do have a glossary, and so you'll see highlighted words where you can click on it, and it will show you what the code definition of those terms is. And then I do want to take you into the next tool, which is the Reference ACE. And this tool, I think you will all like very much if you reference the code at all. So the Reference ACE is basically an electronic version of all of the standards documents that have been hyperlinked so that you can navigate the code language easier. And you can either download that to your desktop, so if you'll be out in the field and you won't have access to the internet, you can make it available on your desktop, or you can access it online. So this has both residential and non-residential within the same tool, as well as all of the standards language and the reference appendices. And one way that you can navigate is simply through the table of contents. So if you know which section you're looking for, that way you can go through. And here again we have the definitions of these terms based on code language, so you can go check those. And then here's where I feel like the real magic of the tool comes in. If one section references another section or a table, it's hyperlinked, so you can toggle back and forth between those. And it also references the compliance manuals here. So it's much faster, obviously, than having the whole PDF open and kind of doing a word search or having a hard copy on your desk and trying to flip back and forth and find the section that you're referencing. And you also can search via keyword, for instance, fenestration, and it will show you everywhere that fenestration occurs in the code, and it will highlight it for you as well. And then just something else that I use, because I use this tool very frequently myself, if there is something that you return to often, if you right-click, you can actually copy a shortcut specifically to that section. So you could either add this to favorites, or you could copy a shortcut if you wanted to send a hyperlink to somebody, maybe to a subcontractor or to a coworker or something like that. So that is the reference ACE. And then let's see, getting back to the home page here. Sorry, this internet seems to be moving just a little slow. Our next tool that I will quickly show you is the installation ACE. And this tool was developed as a field guide. We found that a lot of inspectors either had a hard time explaining or showing and illustrating how a building component was improperly installed. And so we wanted to give some visual aid and something that was easy to carry around in the field that would visually depict how something was installed to help with language barriers, or even just explanations and referencing the code section. So I'll just show you one really quick example of one of these, and here's the residential section. You can either download the complete guide, or you can look per section. Let's see if I open this in a new tab, that might help. Or not. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. Here we go. So here we also have some icons throughout the guide. We have some places where it's a code requirement. We've also identified a few best practices or kind of frequently asked questions. And as you can see, we've tried to depict these with photographs and put an explanation as well as the code reference language to try and make that easier out in the field. So if there are areas where you or someone on your team are frequently having to reschedule inspections, this might be a way to double check before the inspector comes out to be sure that you're properly installing the equipment. So that is the installation ACE. The Crack the Code Industry Workshop, I'm actually not going to open that up. These were a series of trainings that we developed for building departments to present to contractors based on specific topics. And so, for instance, we have a quality installation presentation where we've developed all of the training materials, and, including the PowerPoint and activities and everything, to make that easier for building departments to be able to present to local contractors and build those relationships and answer the questions. And if you were to explore that, you'd be welcome to also download the presentation. It's ready. There are speaking notes in the PowerPoint and everything. So even if that was something that you were interested in learning more about or presenting internally to your team or staff, then that's available. We have one other tool called the Navigator ACE, which is set to launch probably about in the next 4 weeks. And this one is really exciting. It's a flow chart based on project roles that takes you through the entire compliance process. So beginning with designers and what they need to do to include all of the proper information on their construction documents, through the permit process, all the way through to how that gets handed off to the contractors, and what each step in the contractor's compliance process is, and how to coordinate with HERS raters and inspectors and all parties involved. So you can look for that in about the next 4 weeks. And then other resources include trainings. So we have these decoding talks, which are 2-hour interactive online events. And so if you're there live, then it's something you would call into, similar to this webinar, and you'd go through the webinar and be able to participate. And if you are not able to attend those live, we do actually have archived events, so you can still go through and take the 2-hour free training, basically. So small commercial HVAC changeouts is one. We just did a commissioning training, and that should be up here in the next few weeks. We've done talks on all of the compliance forms, understanding the compliance forms. So if you're finding those forms confusing, that's a great resource. And then we also have trainings available that are classroom trainings, and so you can actually request trainings, which is a really nice resource. And in most cases, someone will come to you and give a free training. So that's great to know about. And then we also have a whole resources section. This is something else that I think you would use often. Let's go here. So we have trigger sheets, fact sheets, checklists, several useful links and frequently asked questions, but these top 3 I think could be really instantly useful and applicable to your work. So the trigger sheets are sort of quick reference tables that give you on a certain topic. So for instance, a small commercial HVAC changeout, if you perform a specific scope of work under that, it will tell you which code sections are triggered so that you can know which code sections to go and reference. And on our fact sheets, it's a fairly similar quick reference, but it's more like a 2 to 3 page summary on a topic such as cool roofs. And so we'll go a little deeper into more of a discussion paragraph style of cool roof requirements, basic concepts of it, what you need to do to comply with the code, and we'll also give you code reference information and which forms are applicable. And the checklists, I actually do want to open up one of these checklists. These were originally made for building inspectors and plans examiners, but we're also finding that they're extremely useful for designers and contractors. Open one of these up. So the checklists were made because what we were finding in our needs assessment was that the building inspectors and the plans examiners had very, very little time to review documents or sites for code compliance. And these checklists were developed so that they could just go through and quickly see what was compliant and what wasn't and just check off yes or no. So if you are having questions about whether something is compliant or not, then these checklists could be very helpful for you to go through and could even speed up your own process with an inspector or a plans examiner if you were to fill one of these out even and have it available with your other documents. It could give them a very fast point of reference for whether you're compliant or not. So let's see, I might have been trying to get through this in the amount of time available a little quickly, so I'm not sure
we have a
how long I've been talking, but that is.
We have a little wiggle room, so if there's one other thing
Hello?
you want to... Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let's see.
That's one other thing if you want. We have a little wiggle room.
Okay, here, maybe then I will show you one of these trigger sheets. So for instance, let me find, so this residential HVAC change out. So these trigger sheets are not meant to give you any guidance about code compliance. It's more of a quick reference for which code sections would be triggered, and of course the list of exceptions that'll go with them. So for instance, if you are changing a whole split or package system, then you can see yes, your step-back thermostat is triggered in the code, and here are the code sections that are applicable. You know, no, these sections do not apply. Yes, this one does. And the next iteration of these is that we'll be hyperlinking these code sections back to the reference ACE, so that you actually would just be able to click here and it would take you into the reference ACE tool to that code language. So so we do have a next iteration of these planned. I'm not totally sure when that'll happen, hopefully within 2015.
Great, and if you guys have any questions, type those in now. And did you want to show us any other things today?
I don't think so. I think I would just really encourage, if you have a few minutes, to go onto the Energy Code ACE website and click around and see what's there, and try out the Forms ACE and try out the Reference ACE, and hopefully you'll find those helpful, you know, instantly on your projects. And also I would really just encourage you guys to use the feedback buttons on the website, because as I said, our entire mission is to help make compliance a smoother process and an easier process, and we're very focused on the user here and user-centered design. So if you have, as a user, have any kind of an issue or question, we'd love your feedback.
What should someone do if they have like a quick code question, if they can't necessarily find their way around the website, if they're new? Is there a way that they can contact Energy Code ACE to get a single quick question answered?
You can. I might, if it's a really quick code question, I actually might say that the CEC, the California Energy Commission, who develops the code, actually has a hotline. And I don't know that, I'm guessing that we would have that on here. The Energy Code ACE is a utility program, and so so I don't know that we have their hotline on here, but under partnerships you can get to the California Energy Commission, and they do have a hotline. So I'll just show you where it is really quick so that you can get there. Let's see. This did not take you to the easiest place to get it. Oh, whoops. I should have clicked right here. This Energy Standards Hotline, which is not through Energy Code ACE, but you know, like I said, part of Energy Code ACE's mission is to help make this all easier and to get you to the resources that would be the best. So there is this toll-free number within California, and and that's on the California Energy Commission's website. So you can get to that through the Energy Code Ace. But if you guys have quick questions, I don't know if you want to jot down this number really quick and just know that it is available to you.
Great, and you can also contact us, the California Advanced Homes Program and California Multifamily New Homes. If you're participating, we can do a little coordination too with different sources to help answer questions. I don't see any other questions coming yet. You must have done just a fabulous job explaining the website. I imagine folks will want to explore a little bit, so we'll certainly include Kyra's contact information in our follow-up emails to all of you. So I think we can move on to Brett if you guys want to do a little screen swap. And Brett's our last speaker today, and then we'll have time for a few more questions at the end of the presentation. Great. So let me make sure Brett is unmuted. So Brett Arriaga works with the California Energy Commission, which implements the new Solar Homes Partnership Program. So Brett, go ahead and take it away.
Hi Shannon, this is Brett. Like Shannon said, I'm Brett Arriaga. I'm the program lead for the new Solar Homes Partnership Program here at the Energy Commission. I kind of like to go over sort of a surface level view of our program while providing some program fundamentals like basic program requirements, discuss some eligible project types, and then of course answer any questions anyone has about our program. Just a second, there might be some delay on the slides here. Okay, so the NSHP program started under SB 1, Statutes of 2006, which was more known as the California Solar Initiative, which is more of an umbrella program for 3 separate programs. One is the New Solar Homes Partnership Program, which is a CPUC's California Solar Initiative, and the publicly owned utility solar program, each with their own megawatt goal and associated budget. Ours, we have a 360 megawatt goal with a budget of about $400 million. And really the purpose of our program is to provide financial incentives to encourage the construction of new energy efficient solar homes, enhance energy savings for homeowners, which is really the cornerstone of our program, coupling energy efficiency with solar generation. And lastly, to provide a bridge to achieve California's Zero Net Energy Homes. As you may know, the governor's goal of Zero Net Energy Homes by 2020 adopted into almost 3 separate different plans: the California Energy Future Implementation Plan, the Energy Action Plan, and the CPUC's Long-Term Energy Efficiency Strategic Plan. Some of the goals of the program are to establish a sustainable solar homes market, and we liken it to something like a granite upgrade. That's what we'd like to see solar. You walk into a new home development, that it's as easy to get solar added to a home, much like it is granite. And then secondly, high-performing solar systems on highly efficient residential construction, going back to that zero net energy goal, and then the 360 megawatt goal that I showed in the first or second slide, and solar on 50% of new homes. That's a 2020 goal. And lastly, self-sufficient solar industry. And the goal here is to have it where incentives will no longer be necessary to sustain the market. Those are the main goals of our program. As of April 10th, 2015, we have available funding of about $43 million. We have requested about $20 million. And requested funding are those applications that have been submitted, but the CEC is still in process of reviewing. And that leaves us with remaining funding of about $23.1 million. Some additional funding sources could be some reservations that maybe just fell out of the program, or any expired projects. Any money that was not used would eventually just be funneled back into the program. And really, just to take a really high-level view of the program, there's basically 3 steps. First is the reservation. This is where an applicant submits the reservation package. The Energy Commission reviews and hopefully approves, and the incentive will be reserved for that project. The second step here is the installation and verification. This could be where the home is being built, the applicant installs the system, the HERS rater verifies the measures, the building department finalizes the permit, solar permit, and the applicant applies for interconnection. And lastly, and of course the last step is the payment claim. So this is where an applicant would submit payment claim incentive to the corresponding program. So this could be CAHP, this could be CMFNH, this could be our program, NSCHP. And then finally the Energy Commission reviews and approves and the incentive is paid. Some of the involved parties in our program are the applicant, for one, which is the homeowner or builder developer. And this is a little bit different if some people are familiar with the CPUC's California Solar Initiative program, where solar installer could be the applicant, but for ours, it can only be either a homeowner or builder developer. There's sometimes some confusion with that requirement. Then there's a solar, which is either a retailer or the installer, and there's the energy efficiency team. So these are the CEAs, CEPEs, and then lastly the HERS rater, which will verify the system of payment, and lastly the program management, which is us, the Energy Commission. And some of the basic eligibility requirements for the program is, one, the project should be located or must be located in an investor-owned utility. So namely, this is PG&E, FCE, SDG&E, and Bear Valley Electric. The solar system should be at least 1 kilowatt or larger, and it must be connected with the utility grid. And the electricity from the system must offset the customer's electric load. And also the equipment should be certified. And we do have a list on the CEC website where we actually list all the eligible equipment, so it's an easy find. And then at payment, we do require a 10-year warranty. The home must be new, and we'll consider it new if the entire building is subject to the Title 24 standards that the project was permitted under. And in other words, an energy consultant would use the whole building approach for the modeling. Next here is solar energy systems and energy efficiency measures are third-party verified. So this is where your HERS rater comes into play. And once the solar system is installed, the application must be submitted within 6 months. So obviously this is a new construction home program, so we like to tie it to new construction. That's one matrix in which we do that with. Some eligible project types, here's 3 of 5 that we allow. The first one, custom homes, and we have large developments, which are projects or phases of 6 or more homes, and have solar on at least 50% of those homes. Small developments, our projects are phases of less than 6 homes, and or in this case, solar on less than 50% homes. Some of the reservation periods for these are custom homes receive an 18-month reservation period. Large developments get a 36-month reservation period, and small developments receive an 18-month reservation period. It's important to note that the reservation period begins after the Energy Commission issues approval of the project. So if there's some lag with the Energy Commission processing the application, maybe plan checks taking a little bit longer, that reservation period begins right after we issue approval. Some of the other project types are common areas and affordable housing. Common areas we define as areas in the development that are reserved for the use of the residents. So this could be laundry units, and I think I've noted here recreation center, a pool house. And for affordable housing, has to be at least 20% of the project units must be reserved for extremely low, very low, lower, or moderate income households, and the period has to be for at least 10 years. Common areas are eligible for both an 18-month or 36-month reservation. When the common area is part of an affordable housing development, it receives a 36-month reservation. And affordable housing, all affordable housing projects receive a 36-month reservation period. And I touched on a little bit of the energy efficiency. So I'll start with the 2008 Building Energy Efficiency Standards. So for projects permitted under 2008 energy efficiency standards, we do not have a code-compliant option. So meaning that the minimum standard has to be met at 15% above EE standards, and we define that as Tier 1. And for Tier 2, it's at 30% above the standard. And I don't think I mentioned there's a cooling margin too on the Tier 2 that is also must be met at 30%. In 2013, we introduced our code compliant incentive, which must meet 2013 standards. And Tier 1, a minimum 15% above the standards, with Tier 2, 30% above the standards, and that also carries a 30% cooling margin for that. And non-residential changed in 2013 to only require a Tier 1 at 10% above standards, with a Tier 2 at 15% above standards. And again, with the Tier 2, the cooling margin is equal to the same, so that's 15% above standard. And one of the first things we always ask applicants is to find out whether the project is eligible for incentives from Utility Energy Efficiency Program. There's several reasons for this. One, the NFHP plan check is waived, and this cuts down a considerable amount of time for our review and for the applicant waiting for approval. Second, there's less documentation required from us, so there's no EE documentation required, no input files, no construction plan sets, and lastly, you get double incentives, so why not participate in those programs if it's possible. So we always highly encourage NFHP applicants to participate in both programs so that the NFHP application process is streamlined and it makes everything go a lot smoother. Just a little bit about our incentive structure, how it is. It's a one-time upfront incentive. As we achieve our megawatt goals to each incentive level, that incentive declines. The incentive amount is calculated for each project using our own CEC PV calculator, which is based on an expected performance of the system. And we do have some incentive caps that are applied to our incentive. The first one is the system size cap, so incentives will be limited to the first 7.5 kilowatts. So this isn't to say that only systems 7.5 kilowatts or smaller are funded. It just means that we only incentivize the first 7.5 kilowatts. So the system can be as big as you like. And the second one limited to the total system cost. So affordable housing and market rate have a different incentive level cap. Affordable housing, we're at 75% of total system cost, while market rate housing, we limit it to 50% of total system cost. And I have a little website there that you can view some of the current incentive levels and some of the past levels that we've had for our program. And just to look at where we are now, we have market rate, we're at level 7. So we have a code compliant incentive, and those are all in per watt. So 75 cents per watt, Tier 1 incentive is $1 per watt, Tier 2, $1.50 per watt. And we have a 50 megawatt goal, and I think we're on 40 megawatts currently. So I think we have about 40 megawatts remaining for level 7. Affordable housing, a little bit higher. We have a code compliant incentive at $1.50 per watt. Residential dwelling unit at $1.85 per watt, and a reserve volume of 3.5. And I think right now we're at 2.8, so we have about 2.8 megawatts left for affordable housing at this level. And so some of the tips for applying to NSHP, the first thing we can never stress enough is just reading the guidebook and the NSHP web tool around it. I know it's long, and I know it's a little dense, but it can save a lot of time throughout the process when an applicant reads and goes through and maybe at least tries to understand some of our standards. And the second one is just to consider what stage of construction your project is in. Can it meet the minimum energy efficiency requirement? Is it eligible for the utility energy program? If so, of course, these are double incentives, and it makes the application process for our program a lot easier and a lot more streamlined. And then lastly, can everything in your project be verified by your HERS rater? And along with those tips, I've included some of our NSHP resources. This is a link to our current guidebook. We have an NSHP online application tool, which a lot of different resources there on that application tool. And then lastly, I have some forms and documents that have proven helpful in the past for applicants. And lastly, I mean, if there are any questions, we're always open and available. As long as it's between 8 to 5 p.m., we have a really experienced call center who can answer a lot of the tough questions. So, and we're also available through email, and you can give us a call if you have any questions.
Thank you, Brett. And Brett's right. We really do try to do a lot of programs between CAHP and CMFNH and SHP. We're really good at saying all those acronyms, but we do a lot of the work behind the scenes so that you don't have to submit quite as many documents. So definitely let us know when you're applying to CAHP or CMFNH if you plan on also applying to NSHP, and then we'll form that connection with NSHP. So feel free to enter any questions for Brett. And as you're entering them, I'm actually going to go back to a question that came in right after Amy's presentation. So Amy, let me unmute you. So this is a question about the smart grid. So is Greenpoint rated including use of smart grid appliances and time of use electric rates and demand responsive loads as grid load management tools?
Great question. Not at this point in time. It is definitely something I think that has been coming up. Let's see. I'm sorry, saying time of use rates, smart grid. One question just in terms of, there's a couple things that we're looking at in our tool, as you were mentioning, like time of use rates. One thing I wanted to mention is, I said there's a number of definitions of zero net energy. And for our approach and the tool that we're looking at right now, we're looking at site energy versus TDV, so I just want to make sure that that's clear and understood. In terms of rate structure, there is one thing that we are looking at for our tool is to include the tariffs associated with the projects, but at this point in time, it's not going to be time of use. We hope to get there, but particularly with the development, of this tool as it stands today, it's not time of use. Pricing at this point in time, it's just based on the tariff structure for that particular project, for that utility, for the rate that project qualifies for. So like, is it standard or care rate? I will say that is something that we are looking to develop in the next phase. The approach for our tool, folks should be aware that we have been doing a lot of work with folks nationally and internationally, statewide. And some of the development for the domestic hot water that's included in this tool is also being proposed for our 2016 codes. So we're trying to support that effort as well. So time of use pricing structure, not yet, but hopefully will be coming.
Perfect, thank you. And if you can actually take us to the next slide after this one. Perfect. I wanted to show you guys this. So our next training is going to be on lighting technology. We're excited. We have a gal who's from PG&E who will be talking about a lighting technology competition that they did. So it evaluated lighting fixtures and also lighting actual bulbs themselves. So we'll be featuring that competition, and then also a high-level introduction of the CAHP lighting credit, which is now available. So before anyone hops off, I wanted to make sure to highlight that. And also, we'll be at Housing California next week, and we'll have a little table. So if we'd love to meet you. It's so fun to see folks in person after always meeting remotely, technologically. So please stop by and see us. It'd be really nice to meet in person. Let me see if I have any other questions. Kevin, who's the project manager for CAHP, is also on the line. Kevin, I don't know if you haven't had any thoughts that came up during that presentation. I'll let you chime in.
No, I don't have anything to add, Shannon. I'm happy to take questions if anybody has any specific questions related to CAHP.
I do see one question that just came in for Brett. So let me look at it for a second and then I will read it out. Okay, great. So this is an eligibility question about new construction versus existing construction. So this person is working on a project where the house is substantially new, so it's an existing house that was stripped down to the studs and rebuilt. And the owner would like to submit a letter of explanation, even though the energy report is clear. It is not a remodel technically. And the final point is this must be because the underlying permit is based on the existing house. So, Brett, I'll let you interpret it, and maybe we can ask for clarification on that question too. So, I guess the question might be: is this home eligible to participate in the New Solar Homes Partnership Program as a gut rehab? Ooh, and let me unmute you. Sorry. Okay. You should be ready. Thanks.
So to address the question, yes, we have funded projects that are substantially rehabilitated. There's a couple of things we ask for. One is that the CF1R is modeled as new construction. So that means that the whole house will be modeled at that point, and it sounds to me like it was taken down to the studs, so that should be how it's modeled in the first place. And secondly, we do require a letter from the builder explaining the full extent of the remodel. And so those are the two things that we're going to look forward to in order to deem it a new construction project.
Great. And the same question would go for CAHP or CMFNH. So if it's a gut rehab project, we would typically consider it to be new construction. So that brings us to 128. Okay, and Brett, the person that asked the question, says thank you. So I'm going to leave you with our contact information. So you'll see here, both programs, CAHP and CMFNH, are accepting applications for new projects. So this is a great time to apply. Even if you are in the stages of design development, just shoot us an email and let us know, hey, I've got this project coming up. And that kind of helps us to plan ahead and ask you the sort of qualifying questions. And we can also provide technical assistance. It's a lot easier for us to review your scope of work when you're at an earlier stage of design so that we can make recommendations when they're still cost effective. So definitely get in touch with us if you're in that situation. So I think we will wrap up. We recorded this session, so I'll send it to you all after probably tomorrow or next week. And I also really want to thank our panelists. I think they did a great job, and these programs are all really valuable to you, CAHP and CMFNH participants. So I recommend that if you aren't participating with them, that you consider doing so. And with that, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to having you on future webinars. Okay, thanks a lot, everyone. Bye.